alongside Luke Terry. This is a very important game for SCAC standings. Shavana misses. It's 1-1. Luke, Dallas trying to creep their way into the conference tournament. Trinity trying to get first place. This series is going to decide a lot of things in terms of where these teams stand.
Yeah, it was such a hot start to Dallas at the beginning of conference play, and things have certainly cooled off for them just a little bit. They're playing against a Trinity team that has been consistent, but feels like it's yet to really hit its stride and peak this year. Certainly would be a nice time to do so. Second to last series in conference play in San Antonio before they go to Centenary. Another really, really difficult matchup having to be played on the road against a team that looks like it'll be slotted into the conference tournament when things are all said and done.
Pitch gets away from Lazare. It brings the count to 3-2. You see Shavana's numbers on your screen, a 1.54 ERA, the whip of 1.42. Ball high. And Paxton actually staying where he is, so it looks like that was not a 3-2 pitch, and it might be now. First at-bat of the game. 3-2. Breaking ball in for strike three, first strikeout of the night for Joseph Shavana, one away in the top of the first.
And it looks like in that situation, Huff, leading off for University of Dallas, understood that Joseph Shavana is really still settling into this ball game. And in a 3-2 count, if I'm that leadoff hitter, I'm more than likely just sitting on a fastball. Shavana goes to that breaking ball and is able to spot it perfectly as he does so. Back-to-back pitches, another good start. Get ahead 0-1 in this at-bat as well.
The number 2 hitter, Fernando Davila, up. Takes a pitch just high, makes it 1-1. Already one out on the board, nobody out, or nobody on. Pitch fouled off, it makes it 1-2. Davila, a senior from Frisco, Texas, making his 27th appearance of the year. Currently hitting .253. Pitch away, it's 2-2. Shavana trying to work a clean inning. You saw his whip in the open, 1.42, nearly matching his ERA, something you almost never see. His walks have been an issue. Consistently walking around 4 batters a game recently. Finds himself in another full count situation. Ground ball to Baker at short. The throw in time, 2 down.
Yeah, Shavana is such an interesting case within this Trinity staff. I mean, Friday night starter, he has tremendous stuff, but beyond that, it might be the intangibles and his ability to just work himself out of these precarious positions, because he has struggled surrendering free passes and walks this season. You're certainly right about that, Cole. He's also been hit around a fair amount, right? Opposing teams do tend to find barrels against Shavana more than you would probably anticipate against the typical Friday night starter. But he just never seems to be rattled out there on the mound, continues to attack hitters, uses this breaking ball very, very effectively. When he gets guys on, he's very, very good at inducing ground balls. It's been a little while since we've seen that, but especially in the early portion of this schedule, did a great job at getting double play balls.
Holman takes strike 3. It's a 1-2-3 inning for Joseph Shavana. What a way to start his final home start of the year. Welcome back. Bottom of the first here in San Antonio, and you see the lineup for the home team, the Trinity Tigers. Leading off will be Caleb Woodward, the first year playing in right field, followed by Jack Peterson, who had been leading off these last several weeks, and the catcher, Nick Lazara, hitting third, followed by the designated hitter, Christian Holloway, who hit a walk-off homer in Game 2 of last weekend's game against TLU. Then it'll be Milligan, Tinker, Hastings, the shortstop, Baker, and Colt Harris in the 9-hole. And pitching for the University of Dallas will be Adrian Montenegro. Comes in with very impressive numbers. This is 11th start of the year, 6-1, a 2.75 ERA, 78 strikeouts, only 10 walks, and he fires strike one to Woodward.
And it's a huge sample size for Montenegro, a leader in innings pitched within the conference. So to be up there in that statistical category and also be maintaining an ERA sub-3, have to recognize how good the stuff is. And more than anything else, it stands out to me is that strikeout to walk ratio on the season. 78 Ks, just 10 base on balls. It's going to come right at these Trinity hitters. It's an offense that was a little up and down last weekend, Cole. You certainly experienced that. Shutout in Game 1 and then turned around, as you mentioned, got the power ball going a little bit to walk it off.
Lined and caught at third base. Davila extends the glove, and it's out number 1 of the first.
Exactly the type of start you want to see if you're Trinity until this one winds up in the leather. A nice reaction time. A guy that defensively is playing in on that cut of the grass. It's all turf here in San Antonio and certainly can have its effect at times. Got on that third baseman very, very quickly, but Davila was unbothered that time around. Trinity is going to be forced to put the ball in play is what it seems like here this evening. But if University of Dallas can hold up defensively, the advantage certainly favors them.
I'll bring up the number 2 hitter, center fielder Jack Peterson. Peterson hitting over 300 on the season. Hit a home run in last weekend's game in the finale against TLU. 2-run bomb to put the Tigers up 5-1 at the time. TLU eventually bringing that deficit to 5-4, but the Tigers pulling away once again to secure a series victory. Now puts them in a position to potentially clinch a spot in the conference tournament this weekend. Pitch is fouled off by Peterson. It keeps it at 1-2.
And Peterson is a guy that currently is hitting in the 2-hole, but for a long stretch of games this season was the leadoff hitter. Understandably, he moves back and forth given the threat that his bat represents.
Peterson takes strike 3, 2 down quickly in the bottom of the first.
And he's going to make a slow walk back to the dugout. Based on the angles we have, doesn't look like he's too happy about that call, and I don't necessarily blame him. This pitch looked to be well below his knee. It's a nice job by Curtis behind the dish, framing that one, helping Montenegro out just a little bit as he pulled it back up into the zone.
Now the team leader in batting average among those with at least 80 at-bats, Nick Lazara up to the plate. Hitting .379 on the year. This is 31st start. And he takes strike 1. You would think exactly the situation Montenegro wants to see Lazara. 2 outs, nobody on.
Yeah, absolutely. And exactly the type of delivery that you want to finish with against Lazara. That last one was a breaking ball that finished on the outside part of the plate.
Ground ball bobbled, but the throw in time to get Lazara, and he dives. And still on the ground. We hope everything's okay there. Lazara up, and he'll now jog back to the dugout. We'll see what happened on the replay.
Yeah, this is a breaking ball that catches a little bit more of the plate. It's a hot shot to the corner. Again, nice defense there. Davila does the hard part, just knocking it down with his body. It looked like Lazar, in trying to beat it out, just lunged a little bit. It makes it a bit more difficult to stay up on your feet. Perhaps just rolling his ankle right there. And I would imagine more than anything, maybe suffering from embarrassment beyond actual injury.
Well, that's the end of the first inning. We'll head to the top of the second when we come back on Tiger Network. Joseph Shavana will come out next. Top of the second in San Antonio, nothing between the University of Dallas and Trinity. Nick Lazaris seems to be okay. He's behind the dish once again. And Shavana will work against the cleanup hitter Turner. Dallas trying to open this game with a lead as Turner takes strike one. We've talked about Dallas's standing in the conference, currently sitting at 500. Just on the outside looking in, they're going to need to win some games down the stretch and probably take at least one in this series if they want to have a chance to get in.
Yeah, it is a little bit shocking, and maybe it shouldn't be. Still 6 games to be played, including this one that we're currently watching before the regular season ends in conference play. There's a lot of baseball remaining, but the fact that no one has clinched a spot to this point, I think goes to show how competitive the conference is this year. And you look at the standings right now, there are a number of teams, 6 that still have their names in the mix.
Ground ball to short, the throw in time to get Turner. There's one away.
And a nice play on both ends right here as Baker charges in from shortstop. And you'll see it again. Nice little pick, having to pull that arm up and back, and then he gets the finishing play over there at first. A little help by Corson Hastings, and makes that pick look easy on this turf in San Antonio.
It'll bring up the 5-hole hitter, Michael Anderson. He works with one away and nobody on. Anderson, a senior from Denver, Colorado. Coming in at 6'2", 160 pounds. Only his 5th appearance of the year, getting an opportunity late in the season. He is hitting .333, though, so good numbers in that short span. Take strike one. Went around, and it's 2-2. Shavana, a senior from Laredo. He's fallen behind some counts a little bit early in this game, battling back so far. Has yet to allow a base runner through 1 1/3. Grounded foul, and we'll do the 2-2 again. Just outside, doesn't get the call. Another full count situation. Luke, Dallas is making Shavana work.
Yeah, they're doing a really nice job, and I think the big thing is they're just battling pitches off, making him uncomfortable, go back to that breaking ball, which he's put in the zone frequently.
Does so there for strike 3. Another strikeout for Joseph Shavana, 2 away in the inning.
But even then, you bring up a good point, Cole. They're making him work, and they're driving that pitch count up. There's been a couple of batters in each of these opening frames that have driven these counts full. Same thing happens right there, and Shavana ultimately prevails for the second time in the early going in San Antonio. imagine that it's probably not going to cost him in the long run. He is one of the arms in this conference that can go out there and put up 115 plus pitches. We've seen him do it not just multiple times this season, but multiple times each season in his career.
Andrew Gaspert down 0-2 in the count. Takes the ball in the dirt, makes it 1-2. See the numbers on your screen for Gasper, hitting over 300 on the year, 321 to be exact, making his 21st appearance of the season, and he has at least 2 hits in each of the last 3 games. Swing and a miss, that's strike 3, the 4th strikeout of the game for Joseph Shavana. We head to the bottom of the 2nd. Tigers get another chance offensively when we come back. Bottom of the 2nd in the Alamo City, the cleanup hitter Christian Holloway set to lead things off, hitting .297 on the year. He leads the team in RBI with 23. Take strike 1 from Montenegro, who worked a 1-2-3 inning the last time he was up. Now on an 0-1 count. Fouled off, quickly 0-2.
And Holloway is a guy that missed a chunk of time for this Trinity team this season, in particular in this conference slate of games. Reinserted at a very, very nice time. He's been incredibly helpful.
Swing and a miss there, and that's a strikeout for Christian Holloway. The 2nd in 4 batters for Montenegro.
And despite that end result, can't speak highly enough of Holloway and what he has meant for this lineup in the short time that he's been back. You referenced it once, but of course, he walked it off against Texas Lutheran to get win number 1 in that series that Trinity would eventually take. What was a very large series victory for these Tigers. And it's a spark that has put a little bit more pop in the bat of this Trinity lineup with some more consistency as he homered again in that midweek game against Hardin Simmons on the road.
The number 5 hitter Milligan forces that bunt foul, but you get to see more of Christian Holloway as this game goes along. We'll be showing a clip in between innings where I got to ask him about memories. This is the final home series of the year for the Trinity Tigers. The final home games for the senior class, which has meant so much to the success of this team. Very senior-led team. Veteran. They've been through a lot of situations, whether it was as underclassmen learning or going through years themselves. Milligan takes that ball in the dirt. It's 2-1.
And it's a group that's been to the College World Series, a team that was 1 win away from going to back-to-back super regionals last year. And it's a team that certainly has aspirations above and beyond each of those goals this year. They've been a big part of the success in each of those campaigns, but have been absolutely paramount as seniors this season as well.
Milligan fouls that pitch off, brings it to 3-2. Milligan, not what you would call a regular starter in this lineup, but he's been productive when called upon, hitting nearly 280 on the year. Someone who had to see a lot of action given all the injuries in the outfield towards the middle of this year. He stepped up. And he lines that up the middle for the first hit of the day. A one-out knock for Max Milligan, and there's a man aboard.
And it's been kind of an odd season trajectory for Max Milligan. He's a guy that had his name called a fair amount in the early portion of the season, as this coaching staff really tried to figure out what assortment of outfielders they wanted to roll with. It felt like he just had one of the more unfortunate, unlucky, tough break sort of starts to his campaign. Put the ball in play quite a bit, just didn't find a way to put it in play fair. A lot of outs off of his bat in the early portion of the season. Then he kind of started to figure it out. Maybe after this coaching staff had found some guys that they favored. But you're right, Cole. When those injuries came around and he got his name called yet again, he was absolutely electric. He has such great speed on the base paths and such great control of his barrel when he's in that box. Real threat to bunt for a hit anytime he's at the plate.
Milligan waits on first, and Kai Tinker in the batter's box now. He'll have to wait to see his second pitch as they check on Milligan. Tinker hitting .275 on the year, making his 32nd appearance. Has 14 RBI and 1 home run. Fouled off to make it 1-1. Tinker, senior from Simi Valley, California. It's a very Texas-heavy roster here at Trinity, but not the case with UT Dallas. Or University of Dallas, I should say. Plenty of players from Colorado. That's close. They don't get them, though. Plenty of players from Colorado and California on this roster.
Yeah, pretty interesting to see that, certainly. They've made it work for themselves this year in a way that I don't recollect them making it work previous seasons. Certainly will need a great showing here in San Antonio this weekend. It would be huge to get some victories against a team in the top portion of this conference.
The SCAC coming down to these final 2 weekends, and we'll be sure to update you on scores as they appear throughout the day. That pitch fouled off by Tinker. It'll make it 1-2. Mentioned it at the top of the broadcast. Dallas in a dogfight for the number 4 spot in the SCAC that I believe is currently held by Southwestern. Second to last weekend of conference play, a lot to be decided. And Dallas right in the thick of it, a place they haven't been recently. This is their first winning season in 12 years. Their last one was in 2012. Tinker fouls that back into the netting to make it 1-2. But Luke, some interesting scores going all around. I know that Texas Lutheran currently beating Centenary 9-2 the last we checked.
Yeah, and that game has officially gone final. With that, they'll either currently or shortly be starting game 2 of a doubleheader currently playing in Seguin. Other action. Schreiner and Centenary, or Schreiner and St. Thomas, I should say, have completed both of their games in a doubleheader.
Swing and a miss. Tinker strikes out, and there's 2 down in the inning.
So 1-1 split between those two teams, with Schreiner coming back to win in game 2 by a final of 5-4 and rounding out SCAC action outside of San Antonio. Southwestern currently on top of Austin College in Sherman, Texas, 6-2 in the top of the 6th.
Now the 7-hitter, Corson Hastings up. First baseman takes strike 1. hitting .217 on the year. Getting an opportunity to start game one of this series. But Luke, that St. Thomas result, huge for Dallas. St. Thomas seemed to have a favorable schedule down the stretch, playing Schreiner this weekend, but dropping one of those games, that's another team that's in the mix for that fourth spot.
And Schreiner has certainly spoiled some teams' days this season. A team that even took a victory off of this Trinity squad several weeks ago. You know they're more than capable, even for the teams that you anticipate will make that conference tournament and finish atop the standings. It shows that you have to show up and be ready to play each and every weekend in SCAC action.
Pitch inside brings the count to 2-1. 2 down in the bottom of the second. Max Milligan, the runner on first base. And of course, that Southwestern score important for both of these teams. There is a scenario where the Tigers can clinch the #1 overall seed in the conference tournament this weekend. Hastings fouls that back to make it 2-2. It's a lot that needs to happen. The Tigers would need to sweep this series, have Centenary get swept by TLU, and have Southwestern drop a game to Austin College. And the University of Dallas and Centenary would not be able to make up the game that they didn't play. Hastings wears that one on the shoulder. He'll head to first base, 2 aboard for Trinity.
And a tough spot for Montenegro right there. 2-2 count, already had 2 outs on the board. Things only get more difficult for him now, having to face a couple of consecutive right-handed batters in this Trinity offense. It was a huge spot. Could have gotten out of the inning. Instead, things will be prolonged just a little bit longer.
Now is to face the shortstop, Jack Baker, hitting .288 on the year. 13 RBI. Baker, the regular shortstop, making his 29th appearance of the year, his 28th start. 0-1 pitch. Good take, 1-1.
Yeah, and it was a nice start to this at-bat for Montenegro, dropping that breaking ball in there, goes right back to it instead, trying to finish in the dirt. Looked like Baker recognized spin, and in the last second held his hands up because he recognized the trajectory.
Grounded down the third base line, but foul. Brings the count to 1-2. So Montenegro all of a sudden in a position to get out of this little jam he finds himself in. Dallas, a team that's leaned on their starting pitching so much, they struggle offensively to score runs. The starting pitching needs to put the cap on some of these scores.
And that certainly feels like the biggest difference in this version of the University of Dallas as opposed to previous years that we've seen the Crusaders. Going to need that version of this squad and that version of Montenegro tonight.
Pitch away, it's 3-2. A walk loads the bases, and Colt Harris waits on deck.
I think it was the concluding game of that series against Texas Lutheran this weekend, where you have a base open, the batter waiting on deck doesn't get any easier to face.
Soft grounder to third, throw in time, and Montenegro gets out of the jam. Tigers leave 2 stranded as we head to the top of the third, still 0-0 in game 1. top of the third in South Texas. Joseph Shavana back on the mound for his third inning of work, and he'll face Caden Holman. Takes ball one just low. Holman making his 11th appearance of the year, hitting .283. Had a 3-hit game against Austin College last weekend as Holman drives this one into left, but the catch is made by Milligan for out number one.
Early going here in San Antonio, we're seeing a pitcher's duel between Joseph Shavana and Adrian Montenegro on the opposite side for the University of Dallas, and largely that's been a huge difference for both of these squads, not just here in San Antonio, but realistically a change that has been present across the SCAC all season long. Feels like offensive output that we're used to, incredibly high hit numbers, great home run numbers across the conference, down pretty significantly. Instead, we're seeing these tremendous performances from starting arms on the mound.
The left fielder, David Saldana, fouls that off, but it feels like every time we have a SCAC opponent come in here, their ERA is ranking pretty high in terms of national leaders. University of Dallas, 35th in the country. Second in the conference, just behind Trinity, who had their ERA just dip below 4 recently. Swing and a miss as Saldana strikes out, the 5th strikeout of the night for Joseph Shavana.
And while Shavana is certainly capable with some pretty tremendous stuff, is one of the strongest guys on this squad, not just when it comes to this pitching staff. So he certainly has the velo on that fastball to blow it by opposing hitters. That breaking ball, when it's really, really working, has tremendous movement on it. Even then, not a guy that relies super heavily on the strikeout, just having a tremendous day in that regard.
Grounded fair down the first base line, and Hastings takes care of it himself. Bottom of the third in a pitcher's duel between Dallas and Trinity. We'll be back on Tiger Network. Bottom of the third in San Antonio, the 9-hole hitter, Colt Harris, set to lead things off for Trinity in a 0-0 game. Pitch called a strike, but it gets away. Harris hitting .248 on the year, 23 RBI, 22 runs scored. And those 4 home runs all hit in a very short amount of time, 3 in 1 game. Still a very unusual person to see in the 9 spot. Grounded down the line and foul. But Luke, we weren't quite finished with our conversation about starting pitching in this conference. Feels like there are several teams that just have really good arms that they can throw on the weekend, whether it's Dallas, we saw St. Thomas a few weekends ago, TLU. Of course, Brendan Beard throwing 161 pitches, a complete game shutout. Swing and a miss. Harris heads back to the dugout.
And it's a tremendous job from Montenegro right there, who is really heavily relied upon his breaking ball in the early portion of this game. And the first time through an offensive lineup, not too surprised that Trinity wasn't able to touch it, but that'll certainly be a point of emphasis as Caleb Woodward now stands in for the second time, trying to take advantage of these breaking balls if they hang in the zone the way they did the first time through.
Woodward 0 for 1, but he made good contact, lined out to third base. Check swing didn't go. But Dallas and Trinity, two teams that have very good starting pitching that they can roll out, particularly with two good starters, and we've seen that from a lot of these teams in the conference.
Yeah, I mean, the staff ERAs from a national perspective have been absolutely phenomenal for both of these squads. They're the two leaders in the conference and within the country and the division as a whole. Trinity, number 28, Dallas, 34. But four of the squads in the SCAC are in the top 100 out of 383 ranked squads. So it's just tremendous year overall from a pitching perspective for a conference that more often than not really likes to swing the bats.
Dallas and Trinity, the two best in terms of ERA. Soft grounder to second, handled, and there's two down in the frame. Trinity's ERA just falling under 4 this past Tuesday. It was drastically over 4 at one point, allowing 35 runs to Whitewater in 2 games. They've still managed to split that series. But steady improvement from the Trinity staffs led to good numbers, and then Dallas has been consistent all year, particularly with the starters.
Yeah, and it's a little bit of a tale of two teams, very different circumstances for these squads. Trinity, a team that had tremendous starting pitching last year, but lost a bulk of that production. I want to say it was about 50%, if not more, of the innings pitched last year. The pitchers responsible for that, gone, out of the program. And you return clearly tremendous arms with Shavana on the mound still. Jackson Tier was the pitcher of the year in the conference a season ago. But there's still a lot of gaps that you have to fill, and Trinity has done that tremendously well. But on the other side, Dallas is just a team that has changed everything, really, and performed tremendously well.
Hit in the air to center, and the catch made by Huff to end the inning. Peterson flies out. He's 0 for 2 as we head to the top of the 4th, and you get a look at a clip from Christian Holloway about memories in his time here at Trinity.
My favorite memory has to be winning at Birmingham Southern to make it to the World Series, and then just having literally the night, probably the best night of my life after that. Just like having a great time with the guys, and just all the memories associated with that trip were just incredible.
So good to hear that clip from Christian Holloway, and as you could see by the nods, the other seniors in that frame, they all agree that that weekend with Birmingham Southern, one of their favorite memories, and just that entire postseason was the theme I was getting from all the seniors, how much they enjoyed going on that run, even though they were sophomores at the time and not all of them were key contributors, just being around the team for that, and then having fun afterwards, going to the College World Series, one of the best experiences that this squad had in their time here.
And it was just a tremendously unique postseason. You go up and you play the University of Texas at Dallas, at UT Dallas, in a 5-game series instead of a typical regional affair that you would see to start postseason play. And you have a game in there that you drop, giving up 20-plus runs, 20-plus hits, and still somehow manage to come out on top and then get shipped off to Birmingham Southern, a team that was certainly favored by some national media, D3 baseball covering and favoring the home team there. But Trinity goes on the road, sweeps them, and sends this class of players to a College World Series, something we talked about earlier, something I'm sure that they're going to want a taste of again this season.
Swung on by Huff, deep to right, back at the wall, it falls, and it's over for a ground rule double, the first hit of the night for University of Dallas.
Yeah, a tough break right here for Joseph Shavana and for this Trinity defense. It looked like Caleb Woodward playing out there in right field was fairly shallow on this ball. Right-handed hitter up at the plate, and he just sends that one the opposite direction, very narrowly sneaking over the glove of Woodward.
So the top of the order for U Dallas doing some damage. Davila takes ball one. Huff, not a guy you want to allow on the base paths. Has 27 stolen bases on the season. He's only been caught twice.
And I've already seen him display that a little bit in this one. Ran a ball down in the alley once.
There he goes. Throw to third. Not in time. Make it 28 on the year for Huff.
Looked like Baker, before that last offering, did what he could to check over there and make his presence known, but Huff really had no regard for that whatsoever. Didn't really retreat to the bag. I think understood that he has great speed, and even if Shavana turns and throws from the distance he was at, the lead he had, he was probably getting back in there safely.
Check swing didn't go. So now it's 3-1. And you'll see the stolen base again.
And it looked a little awkward. Lazara, typically very sure-handed and a very, very strong arm, seemingly spiked that one about halfway down the line to third base. And, of course, with this turf, didn't pose a real threat. Still just a one-hopper. He has an absolute cannon back there behind the dish, but certainly contributed to Huff sliding in there safely.
Takes ball four. Davila heads to first, and there's two aboard with nobody out. A good start to the inning for University of Dallas.
And the second time through, something that'll be a point of emphasis for each of these lineups is probably that breaking ball. Talked about it with Montenegro already. Shavana, who had 5 strikeouts the first time through against University of Dallas, relied very heavily on his breaking ball as well. Nice job in these 2 at-bats so far for the Crusaders.
And not the guy you want to see up to the plate if you're Joseph Shavana. The number 3 hitter, Caleb Holman, hitting .370 on the year with a .611 slugging percentage. Takes ball too high, and that'll warrant a visit.
And it's going to be Coach Scannell making the march out to the mound, joining Lazara and Shavana at the moment. It's just been 2 consecutive pitches that miss high above the zone. And Shavana, after that walk, seemingly a little rattled here now in the top of the 4th. Cruising to this point. Talked about it in the first inning. He's a guy that has surrendered some hits and certainly has surrendered some walks. But this is really the first traffic of the day, and taking a moment to just reevaluate and settle back in, certainly a good approach.
Was working a perfect game through 3, but now all of a sudden in a sticky situation. Swing and a miss, that's strike 1. Holman leading U Dallas in essentially every offensive category that would matter to somebody other than stolen bases. An opportunity with runners at the corners and nobody out to do some damage. Swing and a miss, strike 2.
And 2 Huge back-to-back offerings from Shavana right there. In a 2-0 count, Holman, as the 3-hole hitter, certainly has to be expecting fastball with a couple of runners on already and nobody out.
Tapped foul, will do it again.
Shavana very wisely went to a couple of breaking balls or off-speed pitches. First one that ran in on the hands, the second one moving away and generated swing and misses on both.
Fouled off. Opportunity for Dallas to give their starting pitching the lead. Montenegro's thrown a great game to this point. Ball high, 3-2. A walk loads the bases. Simon Turner waits on deck. There's strike 3, outside edge. One down in the inning, a huge strikeout for Joseph Shavana.
And all of the misses in this at-bat were up out of the plate. You can see Holman as he walks back to the dugout. Certainly doesn't seem very happy with this call. As you'll see on that replay, Lazara catches on the far side of the zone and brings it back over that outside edge. Really tough spot, but certainly imagine you need to defend on things at that level.
Grounded into right, a bobble. It'll score at least one. As the other runner heads to second, it's 1-0 Dallas.
Dallas doesn't dwell on it for too long. Nice piece of hitting again, going the other way. Turner not wasting any time right there, shoots it into right field. Woodward, as you mentioned, bobbles that one a little bit, but unable to take advantage on the base paths. And Crusaders going to keep runners just at first and second.
The bobble doesn't cost Woodward. Runner from first just to second. And you would imagine that Huff would have scored anyways. Swing and a miss from Anderson. Makes the count 1-1. Still an RBI opportunity with runners at first and second, only one down in the inning. But now a double play would end it. Throw back to second, not in time. Shavana trying to work his way out of this jam. You saw the whip at the top of the broadcast, 1.42, nearly matching his ERA at 1.5. Comfortable with runners in scoring position. Swing and a miss, strike 2.
And doing a nice job, even after giving up the base hit to drive the run in. Goes back to what he has done so well today, and that's just get ahead in these counts. It's really the mistake that he made, and at-bat number 2 of this inning after Huff was able to reach.
Grounded slowly. Steps on the bag for 1, on to first for 2, an inning-ending double play, exactly what the doctor ordered. But Dallas able to take the 1-0 lead as we head to the bottom of the 4th. Bottom of the fourth on Tiger Network. The Tigers catcher Nick Lazara set to lead things off. He takes strike one, facing Adrian Montenegro, who's now working with a 1-0 lead. Montenegro already coming in with an impressive record at 6-1, a chance to extend it to 7-1 if he can hold the Tigers down.
And he's done a really nice job, first time through the order at least, of mixing his pitches. Has already seen Woodward and Peterson a second time, but in those at-bats has the advantage lefty against lefty. Faces a little bit of a taller task against Lazara back in the box.
Grounded foul to make it 1-2. Montenegro's last start was against Austin College this past weekend through 8 innings. Allowed 3 earned runs, struck out 8, only 1 walk. That ball driven into left, but not enough. 1 down in the inning.
Yeah, off the bat, a little bit difficult to tell the trajectory of this one. Looked like Lazara got his hands through pretty successfully and barreled that baseball up. But even then, given the fact that he sent it right at the left fielder, Saldana was able to haul it in pretty easily, didn't have to drop back at all. Imagine that one was in so far on his hands that probably still jammed him a little bit.
Christian Holloway up to the plate, 0 for 1 today. He struck out in his only appearance at the plate. Grounded up the middle and through for a knock. A 1-out hit for Christian Holloway, and the Tigers have the tying run aboard.
I've talked about the power numbers for Holloway. 6 home runs despite the time that he's missed this season, and the tendency as of late especially. I feel like his approach at the plate more often than not has either been try and drive it out of the park pull side or shoot it hard the opposite direction. I'm not sure how well the University of Dallas has been able to scout that, but given the alignment, presumably the alignment, when he stepped in the batter's box right there, those middle infielders were playing pretty far towards the line because that ball wasn't very hard hit, and even then, I never even saw the shortstop get back into the picture as that one dribbled through the infield.
Pitch lands to make it 1-1. Now, Holloway had a similar hit against TLU in Game 1. It wasn't a hit, actually. A diving play by TLU's shortstop to create a miraculous double play. But that time it works out for him. They say Milligan goes around, and it's 1-2. Milligan 1 for 1 today. He has the only other hit for the Tigers. Held to 2 hits in these first 4 innings. They'll check on Holloway, who dives back safely. But Luke, you get the feeling this is the type of game that the University of Dallas wants to play. 1-0, almost through 4, is exactly where they want to be.
And Montenegro continuing to throw very well even in this second time through the order. And Trinity, I mean, you're looking to get anything going offensively that you can. But in addition to that, I think you need to start working counts a little bit. No runs on the board, just 1 hit, now 2 hits off the bat of Christian Holloway just a couple moments ago. But Montenegro has just done so well of getting ahead in at-bats and finishing the job off rather quickly. He's using that same elevated fastball that he just went to right there to strike out Max Milligan. Trinity just need to find a way to fight some pitches off and stay alive in the box.
Kai Tinker will try to do exactly that, now with 2 outs on the board after the strikeout. Still a runner on first. Tinker hits that to left. Charging in and making the catch is Saldana. Great defense from Dallas ends the inning. Tigers leave another base runner stranded. It's still 1-0 as you see the replay. Top of the fifth in the Alamos City, Andrew Gasper set to lead things off, hitting .316 on the year with 8 RBI. Native of Anaheim, California, one of many Californians on this roster. Dallas trying to add on to a 1-0 lead off starting pitcher Joseph Shavana. Locates that for strike 2. Dallas only hitting .260 as a team this season. That ranks 329th in all of Division III baseball. Lined, fair ball down the third base line. Woodward handles it in right, holds the runner to only one base, but a good start for Dallas.
And now the third time in this ball game that we've seen Joseph Shavana get beat the opposite direction. This one probably the least conviction in the swing that we've seen so far. 0-2 count. Gaspar really more than anything trying to stay alive right there. Just pokes it down the line. Fortunately for him, it stays fair. Fortunately for Trinity on the other side of things, it doesn't get stuck in that corner at all. And Woodward's able to get to that ball quickly and hold the runner to just one bag.
But anyways, what I was saying before I was interrupted by that base hit to contradict my point is Dallas doesn't score too many runs. They don't hit the ball all that much. But that also means they're comfortable in these low-scoring games. Their pitching, we've already talked about how excellent it is. A 4.01 ERA on the season, 35th nationally. They also strike a lot of batters out. They're 15th ranked nationally in the strikeout to walk ratio, a 2.54 ratio. That's best in the conference. Unbelievable statistics from this Dallas pitching. It's a big reason why they're already clinched their first winning season in 12 years. Caden Homan finds himself ahead 3-0. Dallas was able to get to Shavana in the last inning, trying to do it again. Breaking ball drops in for strike 1.
Yeah, I mean, it's on the other side of things, so I won't dwell on it too much, but strikeout to walk ratio is just tremendous. And it's a big reason that this game is going the way it has. No walks issued. Trinity just mustering 2 hits to this point. That represents the only 2 base runners that we've seen. It's been awfully quiet in that department so far for the Tigers.
Shavana checks on Gaspar again, back safely. But if you think the strikeout to walk ratio is impressive, check out the hits per 9. Only 7.37 allowed per 9 innings. Swing and a miss, strike 3, first out of the inning for Trinity.
And a pretty big one for Shavana right there in the context of that at-bat. Falls behind 3-0 in the count after allowing the leadoff hit. Comes all the way back to get the strikeout and avoids runners on first and second with nobody down.
David Saldana, who made the great catch in left field to end the last inning, up in this inning. Hacks at that, but misses 0-1. But the hits per 9, only 7.37 on the air. That's ranked 5th in the entire country. Swing and a miss, strike 2.
For Shavana, you've had Saldana swinging through back-to-back breaking balls, looking a little bit silly, just off balance in the batter's box. No reason to go away from it right here. Just continue to attack him with that breaking ball.
Does so, but able to foul it off. Working with the runner on first. There's a leadoff base hit allowed by Shavana. Comes back from a 3-0 count to strike out Caden Homan. Now faces Saldana, who's already 0-for-1 with a strikeout, down 0-2 here. Swing and a miss, that's strike 3, 2 away for Shavana.
Yeah, good recognition. Saldana able to get a piece of that third offering, fights a breaking ball off. Shavana opting to change it up right there after he saw the hitter way out in front of something, speeds him up just a little bit on the outside part of the plate. That's
Shavana's 8th strikeout of the night. Only through 4.2 innings of work as he faces the 9-hole hitter Curtis, the catcher. Curtis 0 for 1 today, grounded out to first. Shavana very worried about that runner, Gaspar, over there. Strike called, it's 0-2. Grounded but foul down the way of third base. So we'll do it again at 0-2. Curtis trying to set up the top of this UD order, who did some damage against Shavana last time they saw him. Ball high, 1-2. Shavana loses his hat. You see the flow under the cap. That's one thing with baseball players. You can never tell when they get haircuts. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Lazarev throws to first. That finishes the job and finishes the inning. We're halfway through this one. Dallas up 1-0 on Trinity. Tigers trying to respond when we come back. Bottom of the 5th in San Antonio. Adrian Montenegro out for his 5th inning of work. And he'll face the 7-hitter, Corson Hastings, who reached the last time he was up. He was hit by a pitch. As the sun begins to set in San Antonio, the lights are on. Breaking ball drops in for strike 1. You know, Luke, normally we would have a great view of that sunset, but not today. There's a threat of rain later in this game and then throughout tomorrow. So we're camped out in the classroom where we were before we started doing our broadcast from the roof.
Yeah, kind of the regression to the mean for me personally. I've started here in the Bell Center in a little bit of a dungeon, and I will go out here in the Bell Center in a little bit of a dungeon. And there's something nice and just reassuring about that at the end of the day.
Hit in the air to right field. And the catch is made by Turner for out number 1. Yeah, don't love that we have to be here, but it's better than potentially getting soaked and having some equipment issues with the rain, electronics, and water. I hear that they don't really like each other.
Yeah, wouldn't be the first time. The roof has been fun this year, but you missed Sunday's game. I heard Saturday's game was one of the windiest that we've had all season long. That's what Mr. Reed Rosales told me. I thought it was windy on Sunday. He told me it was windier on Saturday. But of course, it was a real scorcher on Sunday when I returned, to the extent that, you know, maybe some things overheated, but we did lose our ability to broadcast just momentarily from up on the roof.
Baker goes around. It's 0-2. Baker 0 for 1, grounded out to third. I didn't think about that. The heat. I mean, I think it's good that we're not hosting the final weekend of the season because it gets to that point. Right now it's about low 80s as a high, which does not feel good when it's in 70% humidity.
Yeah, it's a real worst of both worlds that we're experiencing. The last week and a half or so has gotten into the nastiest of San Antonio weather.
High of 93 today. As Baker grounds that to the third base coach, Joey Deering. It's supposed to cool down tomorrow, largely due to the storms, and Sunday is supposed to be gorgeous. There is a possibility that we don't get this doubleheader played tomorrow. If that's the case, hey, we might be out on the roof again.
One can hope. One can hope. Right now, one can hope that Jack Baker can find a way to turn this battle into a base hit of some sort. For the time being, doing a nice job of just battling pitches off.
Does so again to keep it at 1-2. Nobody on, one down in the inning. Tigers trying to battle back. Down 1-0, trying to find something offensively. We've talked about the struggle to find consistency with the bats. Go from a 20-hit game against McMurray to getting shut out by Brendan Beard, 161 pitches, and then all of a sudden 9 runs in Game 3 of that series.
And several home runs off the bat to conclude things was one of the big shockers. I don't remember the last time we had seen a multi-home run game from this offense.
Baker was in an 0-2 hole, now in a full count situation. Fouls off another pitch. What an at-bat Jack Baker's working. Might not hit a home run, which has been the trend for Trinity recently, but at the very least getting Montenegro's pitch count up. Came into this inning only throwing 58 pitches through the first 4. Three-two pitch. Breaking ball drops in, strike 3. Baker heads back to the dugout frustrated. There's 2 aboard. 2 down with nobody aboard.
I mean, that is just a tremendous pitch from Adrian Montenegro. And I think he understands the situation he's experiencing on the mound. Just 2 hits for this Trinity offense to this point and 1 out already in the inning. He could afford to throw that breaking ball even if he missed with it. He's working tremendously well out there on the mound.
And a 1-pitch at bat for Colt Harris. He flies out, and that ends the inning. We're through 5 in San Antonio. Dallas clinging to a 1-0 lead. Top of the 6th on Tiger Network. 1-0 Dallas leads Trinity in an important game in the conference standings. Leading it off for Dallas is Huff. Paxton Huff, 1 for 2 today. He doubled and has also scored a run. Pitch in the dirt, 2-0. And not the guy you want to lose. We saw him steal a base already today, bringing his team leading total to 28. Shavana drops in a strike to make it 2-1. But 28 stolen bases on 30 attempts, pretty impressive numbers from Huff.
Yeah, I mean, those are numbers that prove he's almost impossible to throw out. It's effectively what that means. So important that Shavana is doing what he's doing right now and getting himself back in this at-bat.
2-2 pitch. In the dirt, 3-2.
Recognizing that home plate umpire is giving that bottom portion of the plate, maybe even extending the zone or extending outside of the zone to give some called strikes.
Grounded to third. Tinker's throw in time. And there's one down in the inning.
And Tinker not wasting any time right there, fielding that ball cleanly and getting it out of his glove almost immediately. Didn't bother with any extra pads as he was getting ready and set to throw to first. Just caught it, transferred, and got the ball out of his hand quickly.
Fernando Davila up. 0 for 1 today. Grounded out to short and walked. That is the one thing from Shavana's outing so far. Through 5.1 innings pitched, only 1 walk allowed.
He's been tremendous. Dropping that whip is probably the biggest outcome of this game if he continues the way he has started so far.
Davila ahead 2-0. Two-one pitch. Or I guess it wasn't. Ball 4, second walk for Davila and 1 aboard with 1 down.
It's been this portion of the lineup for the Crusaders that has posed the biggest issue for Shavana so far. And even then, second walk of the day to Davila doesn't hurt all that much. First time through when the University of Dallas was able to score that run. The biggest aspect of things was the fact that Huff was on base and was able to advance over to second without any issue. Double playing a big role in this one.
Now Caleb Holman up. Takes the ball in the dirt, but Lazera does a good job to keep it in front of him. Luke, as you may have noticed with Lazera taking off his mask to throw that pitch, he shaved. And that's something that's just still weird for me. I don't know that it looks worse. It's just the adjustment. He's had a mustache ever since I've been here in my 2 years here. And I'm sure
it's a big
ever
change
since he arrived. Yeah,
it's a big change, certainly. And you have to wonder, in a game that is as, superstitious as baseball, what the reasoning was behind it. Kind of a ritualistic thing. It's just all of a sudden off the board.
Grounded past the dive of Harris into center field. Davila will stop at second, so runners at first and second for Dallas with only 1 down in the inning. The first hit of the day for Caleb Holman.
And the 1 through 3 hitters continuing to pose a threat for the Crusaders. Davila and Holman combining right now. Again, runners on first and second base. A tough spot as Shavana was able to jump ahead in that at-bat 1 and 2, but hitters prevailing that time around.
Good play by Harris to keep that throw from getting into center field. And now they're checking on Davila, still on the ground at second. Slowly gets up, but seems to be okay.
Yeah, inadvertent, certainly, as Harris was just forced to sky to corral that baseball. Looks like out there at second base, Davila's, rolling his neck a little bit, feeling his shoulder. Couldn't tell if that's where Colt Harris might have landed and caught a little bit of the body, or if it was just that original dive back into the bag where Davila could have potentially caught himself.
And some trainers coming out to check on Davila and see the motion that he was making with his neck, maybe saying that something happened in that area. Head coach Eric Grafton also on the field. So while this conversation continues, we can, or not, it looks like meeting adjourned. Coach Grafton staying out there for a beat longer, but it looks like Davila is good to stay in the game. Of course, everybody here at Tiger Network, and I'm sure everybody watching, glad that everything seems to be okay at second base.
Yeah, more than anything, looked like just discomfort out there on the base paths, and good to get that cleared up. But imagine in a 1-0 ball game, no desire to take your 2-hole hitter out of action.
Now Shavana will work against the cleanup hitter, Simon Turner. 1 for 2 today, has a base hit and the only RBI of the game for either team. Check swing, but a called strike on the outside corner. Shavana trying to work around more traffic. He's done that in the last several innings here. Big cut at that breaking ball, and it's 1-2.
And you have to wonder, that check swing didn't seem like Holman went around in the box. It certainly was close-ish, didn't finish on the ground or on the turf, but didn't seem like it was far enough in the zone or close enough to the zone to warrant a strike call from the home plate umpire. But certainly he has stretched outside of the zone pretty frequently and with some consistency on both sides of this ball game.
Turner now in a 2-2 count. Swing and a miss. That's strike 3. 2 down in the inning. Shavana that much closer to getting out of the jam.
Of course, when you see a home plate umpire like this, stretching the zone a little bit, giving some of those spots that you don't typically see, it changes the approach for a hitter, and it seemed like that was the case for Holman. Swung at a pitch, the next pitch, subsequent pitch in the dirt, and ultimately Shavana able to prevail via the strikeout, just forcing the hands a little bit more because of Shavana's stuff, but also because of the way that this one's being umpired.
Now the 5-hole hitter, Michael Anderson, 0 for 2 today. Swing and a miss. And quickly down 0-2 to Shavana. Shavana in pitching what will likely be his final home start of his Tiger career. As you see the hats off counter, now the 3rd time. Something we've had for Jack Martinez in the past. Former Tiger pitcher here. Doesn't get the call there, and it's 1-2. But Shavana will be pitching in Division I next year, getting his master's at Xavier. Pitch misses, 2-2. But Shavana will be added to a list of plenty of Division III players and then players specifically at Trinity that move on their way to D1.
And certainly has the makeup of a guy that can succeed at that level, but we'll be sad to watch him go.
Grounded to Shavana. He flips it to Hastings to end the inning. Gets out of another jam. We're through 6 as we head to the bottom of the 6th in San Antonio. 1-0 Dallas, still hanging on to that lead. Top of the order leading off the 6th for Trinity, it's Caleb Woodward. 0 for 2 today, a line out in the first, grounded out his most recent at-bat. Saw the OPS on your screen, nearly at 1,000, about 950 so far. Working against Adrian Montenegro. We'll see if the Tigers can have some better at-bats now. This is the 3rd time through the order. Montenegro pitched 8 innings in his last outing against Austin College, on pace to do the same again, as Dallas continues to lean into their starting pitching.
The 3rd time through for this Trinity offense. Going to need to demonstrate a little bit more patience, and frankly, you're going to have to rely on some luckier bounces and breaks in the field. So far, the University of Dallas has been tremendous fielding the baseball behind Montenegro, and it continues right there.
Woodward grounds out to second. It brings up Jack Peterson with 1 down in the inning. Peterson 0 for 2 today, struck out looking, and then flew out the last time he was up. Breaking ball drops in for strike 1. Tigers trying to find something offensively. If this score holds, they would be shut out for the 2nd consecutive Friday. And Luke, you think that's something that they're going to need to fix come conference tournament time, because that means not having a lot of success against these game 1 starters for different teams. Those are the guys they're going to see in the SCAC tournament.
Yeah, and it means that you're likely playing needing to go through the loser's bracket. It's probably the bigger aspect of things. If you're being shut out, you're not winning baseball games. And when it comes down to it, that portion of the season, you never want to be facing those elimination games if you can fare to avoid them. And this is a team that historically hasn't been in those situations very frequently. I know that added pressure can certainly help some teams, but largely it feels good when you can avoid it.
Peterson strikes out swinging. 2nd time he struck out tonight. It brings up Nick Lazara once again. Lazara 0 for 2 as the top of the order has been held hitless. Combined 0 for 8. Pitch lands for strike 1. Montenegro, even the 3rd time through so far, having no issues whatsoever. Saw the numbers earlier. Very impressive. Swing and a miss from Lazara. It's 1-2.
Still just have to be very, very careful on the mound if you're Montenegro. It's been tremendous. Can't take that away from him. But in a 1-0 ball game, you're still at risk. One swing of the bat, and this thing could be tied up.
1-2 pitch. High and outside, 2-2.
Looked like Montenegro certainly wanted that last one. Looked like he was starting to head back to that dugout just a little bit, but forced to throw at least one more.
Ball in the dirt, now a full count. That's got to be frustrating for both pitchers and hitters. Some inconsistency around the strike zone, particularly on that outside edge. What's given and what's not. Trying to find the line of that imaginary box.
Feels like things have certainly expanded down in the zone.
Grounded to 3rd. Throw to 1st in time. A 1-2-3 inning for Montenegro. As we head to the 7th inning in San Antonio. Joseph Shavana will try and match zeros when we come back. Top of the 7th in San Antonio. Joseph Shavana back out there, already having thrown over 100 pitches, but that's nothing new. Consistently getting into that 120 mark. Faces Gaspar, who's 1 for 2 today, a base hit the last time he was up. Pitch fouled back to make it 0-2, but this is potentially the last inning that Joseph Shavana will pitch here in this ballpark. And what a career he's had to this point.
You can take a look online, trinitytigers.com, head to the baseball category, take a look at the archives, but we'll walk you through where he already is and where he is likely going to end up. He's on the single season wins list. He's more than likely going to be on the career wins list as well. The way he's working this year, he's probably going to be on the single season earned run average leaderboard as well.
Fouled off. We'll do the 2-strike pitch again.
There's a good chance that he breaks into the career strikeout top 10. He's already on a couple of categories, including single season innings pitched. He'll likely be on the career innings pitched list as well.
Popped up. Baker heads to the outfield grass and makes the catch for out number 1.
I mean, it's pretty tremendous that Joseph Shavana already has his name and his hands all over this archive and this list of all-time achievements. And even then, he's opting out of the opportunity to move even further up these leaderboards. And I don't blame him because, again, he has the opportunity to go play D1 baseball, and he'll be a real contributor next year at that level.
1-0 pitch to Holman, lands for strike 1. Shavana this year with a 1.5 ERA that would land into that archives page, top 10 list. Fouled off. It makes it 1-2. Got to ask Joe what he felt it meant to pitch his final home game here, and he said he hasn't thought about it a whole lot. Still has another year of college baseball yet to be played. Just focused on going out there and doing the best he can. Doesn't surprise me. Joe seems like a pretty practical guy in the time I've gotten to know him. That ball lifted in the air to right field. Woodward comes in and makes the catch for out number 2.
Man, level-headed in conversation doesn't surprise me given how level-headed and calm, collected he is on the mound. Talked about it previously in the broadcast. A guy that has faced quite a bit of trouble on the base paths today and all season long. Despite that fact, just has not been rattled, has not let that impact the way he pitches. And for that reason, he just hasn't gotten hurt all that much on the mound.
David Saldana up. This will actually be a pinch hitter. Looks like Luke Gill. Gill fouls that back to make it 1-1. Hitting below 200 on the air, but a chance to improve that in this at-bat. Got to ask Joe what his favorite memory from Trinity was, and he named a few good ones. He brought up the Birmingham Southern Series. He said Eugene's chicken specifically. Some of the best chicken he's ever had, and I got confirmation from other members of that team that yes, that indeed was really good chicken, not an unpopular opinion from Shavana. Swing and a miss, strike 2.
And that definitely sounds like some 20-year-old boys. I won't say that that's out of the picture or the realm of possibility. It's still hilarious that that is the thing that sticks out to him.
Swing and a miss, strike 3. 11 strikeouts on the night for Joseph Shavana as he rolls through the 7th. We head to the bottom of the 7th on Tiger Network. Still down 1-0. Trinity needs some runs when we come back. Bottom of the 7th, Trinity still down 1-0, and Christian Holloway up to the plate, 1 for 2 today. Has 1 of 2 hits that the Tigers have gotten all game. You see the pitch count from Adrian Montenegro only at 85 pitches through 6, and that's something the Tigers are going to want to get up if they want to get to this Dallas pen. Lifted in the air to shallow center. And the catch made by Anderson for out number 1.
Yeah, Montenegro is just humming. He's firing on all cylinders on the mound right now. All of these at-bats, save for one, Jack Baker came up and did a very, very nice job. Worked a 10-pitch at-bat his last time up. And outside of that, it's mostly been 2, 3, 4 pitch appearances for these Trinity hitters.
Strike 1 to Max Milligan. The other Trinity batter with a hit tonight, hitting .292 on the year. Milligan trying to find his way on. Get something going for this Tigers offense, which just hasn't seemed to have a spark all night. Part of that, you would think, Montenegro not giving out free base runners. Of course, in Hastings, hit by a pitch, but other than that, no walks or hit by pitch to speak of.
One of the biggest issues for this Trinity offense right now, they just have not been able to figure out this breaking ball from Adrian Montenegro. And realistically, from our vantage point, it feels like he might be manipulating it, maybe even throwing a couple of different pitches. He has this real good wipeout breaking ball that's got a little bit more horizontal movement on it, sweeping away from these left-handed hitters, but he's also using something with a little bit more vertical drop and just realistically dropping it into the strike zone with a little bit more of a vertical movement on it.
That's why he's the Friday night starter for Dallas. Now in a full count. Fouled off, we'll do it again.
We've seen a couple times that these Trinity hitters have gotten to these 3-2 counts. Jack Baker did the same thing when he fought a bunch of pitches off. But it's been Montenegro who's prevailed more often than not, and Trinity's going to need to make that change.
Fouled off again. Milligan working that pitch count a little bit, something we haven't seen too much so far.
But ultimately, now in the bottom of the 7th, the spot where you need to prevail. So late in the game, even though that pitch count is high, unless you can really
left, and the catch made for out number 1. It's hard to see from in the Bell Center, but I assume that's Luke Gill, a defensive substitution.
Good job of at least putting this ball into play, but I'll retain my position. Trinity is going to need a base runner sooner rather than later, hopefully to apply some pressure and eventually boot Montenegro from this game. At the moment, I mean, he's trending towards 100 pitches, but so late in this one, the magnitude of this affair, University of Dallas certainly needs this baseball game to stay alive in the conference picture. I don't think you lift him out of the game if you're the University of Dallas coaching staff.
A 1 pitch to Tinker. Outside, close pitch, but it's not given the call. Tinker 0 for 2 today. He struck out and flew out the last time he was up. But we've talked about the clinching scenarios for Trinity, and then alternatively, Dallas just needing to stay in this race. You'd think they'd need at least one of these 3 games that set themselves up for a home series next weekend against Shriner. Trinity, if they just take 2 of 3 in this series, will secure a spot in the conference tournament. Undecided what seed that will be. Grounded up the middle and through. Tinker aboard with a base knock, the 3rd one for the Tigers today.
And again, a little confusion from my vantage point, Cole. Tinker doing a nice job. Breaking ball that finishes down in the zone. Not a particularly hot shot off the bat, though, and it's not sent straight back up the middle. Just wonder about this alignment for the University of Dallas. Figure shortstop playing in typical alignment and depth probably gets to that baseball, but that one sneaks through easily, and Trinity will take a base runner even with 2 outs in the bottom of the 7th.
Corson Hastings up to the plate. Tinker on first, 2 down in the inning. And it looks like that's where the shortstop Gaspar is lined up now, pretty much where Tinker hit that ball. Breaking ball lands for strike 1. Hastings 0 for 1 today, flew out the last time he was up. He's also been hit by a pitch. Getting the start at first for Trinity.
One of the more unfortunate things for this Trinity offense, it's hard to jumpstart things on the base paths when you have a lefty on the mound. Tinker likely not going to be able to move for that reason and won't be able to get an extra 90 feet closer.
The Tigers, a team that love to steal in general, but you're right. The lefty on the mound, we've seen that make things difficult in the past. Tinker is 5 for 5 on stolen base attempts, though. Pitch up, makes the count 2-1. Bottom of the 7th, Tigers looking for something. Dallas has been good on the mound and even better defensively. And the catch made in left field to end the inning. Gill lays out, and that ends the 7th. You'll see it on the replay. Another diving play by Dallas ends a potential Trinity bid to tie this game. We'll head to the 8th on Tiger Network. Dallas clinging to this lead. First pitching change of the night in San Antonio. Joseph Chavana's day is done. He leaves this game pitching the first 7 innings and allowing only 1 earned run, and Will Hellings will come in to take it the rest of the way. You see the numbers on your screen. A 2-0 record, a 3.37 ERA, 34 strikeouts, only the 7 walks. Luke, normally he comes in when Trinity is leading. A different situation. He'll try and hold this deficit.
I was just thinking, Cole, Dallas and San Antonio, Dallas and Trinity have mixed now for the second time this year, 2024 campaign for a 1-0 ball game. Of course, last time around it was the University of Texas Dallas that came down and got shut out by that final score line. And Trinity looking for some offensive output still, and we're going to need more than likely to hold this University of Dallas Crusader squad just to this 1 run.
That pitch rides inside and gets the catcher Curtis, who will painfully head to first base. Already in a 3-0 count. Unfortunate that that happened.
And this is not what you want to see right here, especially with Will Hellings on the mound. About 6'5" up on the bump. He's a very, very hard-throwing righty. That one runs in, and more than likely was that fastball in a 3-0 count, trying to find the zone. Instead, it finds a spot where there's a lot of bone.
Curtis does limp his way over to first base in a conversation with head coach Eric Grafton. And he'll run it out a little bit.
Yeah, really your best hope or best case scenario right there is that one gets down low enough that it catches some shoe, some cleat, maybe that base of it, where there is a little bit of protection as opposed to anything on the pant leg.
Now Paxton Huff, the leadoff man, trying to work to extend this Dallas lead. He's 1 for 3 today. Has a double, a run scored, and a stolen base. Squares up to bunt. Pitch misses, and it's 1-1. So far, not the best start for Will Hellings. Normally a guy who can come in and just shut things down. So far, a little wild.
Yeah, not a situation where he's trying to shut things down, just trying to continue what has been a very impressive pitching performance by this Trinity staff. And it's an awkward scenario right here, having to pitch to Huff, who's squared around a couple of times in this at-bat. You have a catcher who doesn't run particularly well, presumably, and on top of that, looks like he's been hobbled a little bit.
Hellings falls behind 3-1, and already a meeting. Hellings has thrown 8 pitches so far. 7 of them have missed the strike zone. Very uncharacteristic. We showed you in the graphic when Hellings came in. Only 7 walks allowed in the entire season. And it warrants a meeting from Tim Scannell.
Yeah. Point that I was just making. Guy over there at first base, you may be thinking this through a little bit too much at the moment, considering the fact that you could very likely have the opportunity to throw him out at second, depending on where this baseball is fielded. But you're forgetting the necessary step that you have to throw a strike and see this bunt gets down before that can be the case.
Pitch lands for strike 2.
Now you have to imagine that that bunt is probably off the table.
Now a full count situation. Off the outside, on the outside edge, strike 3. First strikeout of the night for Will Hellings. I don't know what was said in that meeting, but it looks like it worked.
I mean, this is a guy on the mound that has been pretty automatic. I think that's the shocker, given the fact that 7 out of his first 8 offerings missed the strike zone. He's a guy that comes in and just throws it by people, and after that meeting, adjustment was made because that was the case right there.
Now Fernando Davila, the 2-hole hitter up. He's walked the last 2 times he's been up, 0 for 1 on the day. Takes strike 1. Both of those walks against the starting pitcher, Joseph Shavana. The only 2 walks Shavana allowed on the night. He also struck out 11 through 7 innings. Inside 2-1. Talk about Will Hellings being automatic. Comes in with 4 saves on the year. The one time that he even had a remotely shaky outing, you would say, was against Concordia. Concordia came in here. Tech and Trinity beat them 3-1. Hellings getting the save, but before he got it, he loaded the bases. Pretty much the one time where it didn't feel like it came easy. 2-2 pitch. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Back-to-back strikeouts for Will Hellings, and there's 2 down in the inning.
And right now, we're getting the version of Hellings that we anticipate more often than not. A fastball that, rides up in the zone, has a little life to it, given his stature out there on the mound. But he throws that breaking ball very, very effectively off of it. It's a very heavy fastball diet, and you understand given that velocity. But when he feels that a hitter might have a beat on it, he throws that breaking ball off of it so well, and it mixes speeds incredibly effectively.
The first baseman, Caleb Holman, leads the team with 6 home runs. Takes the ball low to make it 1-1, and that's one of the main things we talk about when Hellings is on the mound. He throws fast, and that's hard at this level to catch up to. But when you get a barrel on it, it can go pretty far. Fouled off, 1-2.
And that is something that we've seen. But I think it's something that we saw maybe once this year in a game that Trinity had in hand, and Hellings felt increasingly comfortable to just attack the zone. Trailing right now, the runner on base certainly will exhibit a little more care.
Grounded. The dive by Tinker, the throw high. And the runners will advance. Each of them get an extra base, and it'll be second and third with 2 down.
Yeah, and simply a little lackadaisical right here. I think Tinker did the hard part. Hot shot off the bat, and you can see it. A great diving stop. And then he goes to the sidearm, and that ball comes out just not at the greatest of release points. His arm is still headed up, and that one sails well above Corsten Hastings, and it's not the easiest task to accomplish. Corsten standing over there at first base, about 6'4", one of the bigger frames of the first baseman on this roster.
Goes down as an E5 for Tinker. So now Hellings will have to face the cleanup hitter for Dallas, Simon Turner. Turner 1 for 3 today. He struck out, but also has an RBI single. Swing and a miss, strike 1. Another RBI opportunity for Turner to extend this lead. Pitch away, 1-1.
That's a great spot right there from Hellings. And goes to that breaking ball after blowing the fastball by him, inducing that swing. Just a nice job, better job offensively of laying off that one.
Thought about it, but doesn't go. 2-1. You'd think an insurance run for Dallas would be pretty big. Swing and a miss, cuts at that pitch down the middle, makes it 2-2.
And well late on that fastball. Just felt like he made up his mind significantly too late right there.
Runners on second and third, 2 down in the inning. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Hellings gets out of the jam. This is still a 1-0 game. Tigers down to their final 6 outs. They need runs when we come back. Bottom of the 8th in San Antonio. Trinity trailing 1-0 to the University of Dallas. Adrian Montenegro back on the hill to start this inning, but we're going to have a meeting already. Coach Eric Grafton out there along with the rest of the infield to talk to their starting pitcher. It's pretty unusual, Luke. No pitch thrown in the inning, already a mound visit.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it looks like the glove came off for a moment. Montenegro pointed to his throwing arm. He's clearly frustrated at the moment. And glove covering his mouth, and I think he has some words uttering. You can see clear discomfort right there after that pitch. But I think you can see the adjustment and the fact catcher didn't throw down, opted to throw another one, still just feeling it out.
And there now is somebody out of the bullpen for the University of Dallas. High fives all around, and it looks like that'll be the day for Adrian Montenegro. He'll be subbed out of this game with an injury. Dallas goes to the pen, holding on to a 1-0 lead. And we'll take a break and let the new pitcher warm up. Stay with us. Bottom of the 8th in San Antonio. New pitcher in for the University of Dallas. It's Colin Johnson. Comes into this game with a 2-3 record, an ERA of 3.6. 26 strikeouts, only 2 walks, and he faces the number 8 hitter, Jack Baker. 0 for 2 today. Struck out the last time he was up.
And I think the fortunate thing here for this Trinity offense is they don't have to face Adrian Montenegro anymore. But it doesn't get all that much easier. Another lefty on the mound for Dallas that can hopefully continue and emulate that same success that his counterpart was having. Another certainly high leverage arm for the Crusaders.
Johnson comes into this game with 6 saves, trying to make it 7. So I'll ask him to get these final 6 outs. And so unfortunate for Dallas, Adrian Montenegro having to leave this game after 7 innings pitched. Baker drives that to left, and the catch is made for out number 1. Montenegro had to exit this game after 7 innings pitched. 7 strikeouts, no walks, no earned runs. About as good of a day as you could have asked for. Looked like he was going to continue it, but unfortunately experiencing some discomfort in warm-ups. And now Dallas has to turn to the pen. Colt Harris trying to get something going for the Tigers.
Yeah, he had already thrown 102 pitches when he came back to warm up for that half inning. And we talked about it after Will Hellings left the mound. Hellings' first appearance and first moments on the mound for Trinity produced a little bit of a longer half inning. And I wondered how that might impact Montenegro. Typically early in games when you haven't thrown so much, doesn't play a big role, but you have 102 pitches, you've already faded and are fatigued both mentally and physically, especially in your arm at that point in the late stage of a game. It can take a different type of impact.
Harris fouls that back, stays alive in an 0-2 count. But maybe a sigh of relief from the Trinity dugout when they saw Montenegro walk off the mound. They were having no success against him. The numbers for Colin Johnson's success, things might not change, but Trinity hoping for something. Long throw and in time. What a play by Davila at third, 2 down in the 8th.
And Montenegro was very clearly upset on the mound as he was exiting this ball game, but he still took the time to embrace with every member of this Crusader infield. We mentioned it, handshakes and hugs all the way around the circle. I'm sure that this is a team that has the desire to pick up both Johnson on the mound, but to finish this job out and get the win for Montenegro. It was a tremendous play that will help their effort right there. Barehand pick at third base and an even better throw to finish the job.
Strike called on the bottom corner to Caleb Woodward as the lineup flips over for Trinity. Woodward, the leadoff hitter today, 0 for 3. As the top of the order for the Tigers has had a tough day all the way around, a combined 0 for 9. Woodward serves that down the first base line, but foul. So walk back to home plate to face another 0-2 pitch. Trinity down to their final 4 outs, only 3 hits on the game. Able to get to this Dallas pen, but not having a lot of success so far against the reliever Colin Johnson. Pitch outside, 1-2.
And a little bit of a grunt that we could hear from the crowd mic. Mike Johnson went fastball right there, trying to overwhelm Woodward and just missed it out of the zone.
Hit in the air to right, back at the wall, caught on the warning track. Caleb Woodward just missed it. This game that close to being tied. A well-hit ball, not far enough. Dallas heads to the top of the 9th, up 1-0 on Tiger Network. Top of the 9th in San Antonio. Tigers down 1-0. Will Hellings back out there to try and hold this deficit as he faces Anderson. 0 for 3 today. Struck out once the first time he was up. Takes that pitch low. Now 2-0. And an important job for Hellings. You wonder how many runs this Tiger offense has in them. Want to keep this in a situation where you can tie it with one swing.
Yeah, and I think you want to go as quickly as possible and get those bats back into the box. Don't waste any time here in the top of the ninth. Still trailing in this ball game.
Pitch down the middle makes it 3-1. Hellings falling behind in this count, similar to what he did at the top of his last inning. Pitch high, ball 4. Back-to-back leadoff runners reach on Will Hellings.
And again, surprising to see that out of Hellings on the mound. This time around, perhaps a little bit more competitive than what we saw to start the last inning, but still hinges and dependent on what we see in this at-bat against Gaspar.
Andrew Gaspar, 1 for 3 today. Lazara bluffs the throw. Gaspar does have a base hit. That would come up very nicely for the University of Dallas right now. Ground ball could be 2. Flip to second in time. Throw to first. They'd get it. A much-needed double play for Will Hellings, and there's 2 away in the ninth.
You know, Cole, one of the big differences in this game, and while it hasn't done all that much for the University of Dallas, I feel like it's held certainly very well for them. The defense has provided some big, big moments. The energy that we've seen in this ball game has been or stemmed specifically and pretty exclusively from those. On the other side, Trinity has had very, very little to work with, but that play, bigger than anything we've seen from the Tigers tonight, and if Will Hellings can work quickly again right here and maybe get them off the field, there's a good chance that's the kind of spark that you can carry with you.
Hellings falls behind on Homan, 2-0. And make it 3-0, another high pitch. So a double play took away a base runner. Now Hellings in danger of adding it right back. Pitch lands, strike 1.
Yeah, it seemed like a clear adjustment right there. Majority of the pitches he's missed with, they've either been up or they've been in the outside portion of the zone, similar to what we see right there. But the first strike that he got in this at-bat seemed to put an emphasis on finishing and getting it more so in on the hands.
Hellings able to battle back to make it 3-2. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Hellings gets out of it. We head to the bottom of the ninth. Tigers down to their last 3 outs. A chance to walk it off when we come back. So not the situation we expected to see Dylan Krause this weekend, but here he is trying to earn his first save of the year. His first relief appearance of the season, 9 appearances, 9 starts. Comes in with a 2.75 ERA and coming off a complete game against Austin College. He'll face Jack Peterson to lead things off. And Luke, it seems like Dallas really wants to win this game.
Yeah, you don't go to a starting caliber arm in a high leverage situation unless you want to win a game or unless you really feel like you need to win a game. And that's certainly the case that we've outlined for the University of Dallas here tonight.
Pitching this like you would a postseason game. Throwing your starters in relief. Peterson thinks about bunting, but takes strike 1. Seen Jack Peterson do that, working in a leadoff role in this inning. He's hit leadoff for a good portion of this year. We know he can drag a bunt down that third base line and reach. Fouled off, makes it 2-2.
And it looked like that last delivery had a little bit of arm side run. 2-0, new pitcher in the game. Not surprised that Peterson didn't have a green light. The fastball right down the middle, but certainly had one on that 2-1 pitch. Krause's movement certainly helps him out as that one got off the end of Peterson's bat.
Swing and a miss, strike 3. Third strikeout of the day from Jack Peterson, and there's one down in the 9th.
You hear it all the time. Most important out in a situation like this is that first one. Huge to have one on the board. And just to instill a little bit more confidence, Krause, you're feeling really good right now that you can just blow a couple fastballs by one of these top 3 hitters from Trinity and get an out.
Now Nick Lazara, number 3 hitter tonight, as he has been all year. Takes strike 1. Lazara 0 for 3 today. Woodward and Peterson both 0 for 4 so far. Lazara trying not to join that club. Pitch misses, makes it 1-1.
And now it feels like everything has arm side run, and it's either moving away or dropping down and away from these left-handed hitters.
1-1. Away, 2-1. Tigers trying to find some way to get the tying run aboard. Christian Holloway waits on deck in the cleanup spot. Swing and a miss, strike 2.
Really big bats for this Trinity offense. A lot of power in both of them, but that swing right there felt more like an afterthought. Recognizing fastball and swinging far too late that time. Krause has a lot of velo, clearly. Trinity's going to need to shorten up.
Check swing, didn't go. The Dallas dugout wanted the call. They don't get it. This at-bat will continue into a full count.
And whether or not Lazara went right there, I'm not sure it mattered. That was a really, really good pitch. Very close miss off the plate.
Take strike 3 looking. A disappointed Lazara heads back to the dugout. 2 down in the 9th. Tigers down to their last gasp.
And that spot even better from Krause. Really nothing you can do with that one unless you know that's where it's going to be. Fastball up and in on the hands. Have to pull him through, but certainly a tall task to get the barrel all the way up in the zone, and Lazara didn't even try that time.
Christian Holloway, the last hope for Trinity, 1 for 3 today. Does have a base hit. He's also struck out. Ahead 2-0. There's one person you want in this situation. You'd think it would be Christian Holloway, the heroics we've seen from him throughout the entire year. A game-winning grand slam in the bottom of the 8th against Babson in opening weekend. Grounds that to first, and that's the ball game. Dallas upsets Trinity. A huge win for them in their SCAC tournament bid.
And we talked about it in this half inning. This is not a game that you go to a starting caliber arm in the bottom of the ninth unless you absolutely need to. This is more than that, frankly. This is the type of performance that really instills confidence. I don't know what happens the rest of this weekend. But there's going to be another one on the horizon. One final regular season series for the University of Dallas. And the type of stuff that they showed in this one will certainly carry over the next two games here in San Antonio and against whoever they play next weekend. One-run baseball today offensively is certainly not what we're used to in the SCAC, but like you talked about earlier, Cole, it's what they've familiarized themselves with, and they were totally fine with it today. Gutsy stuff from the Crusaders.
Trinity held to 3 hits for the second consecutive Friday night game. Shut out as well. Shut out for the third time in conference play, once to Schreiner, another time to TLU, and then tonight. Tigers drop game 1. University of Dallas advances to being over 500 in conference play. They needed a win this weekend in order to have a realistic shot to make the tournament. They get that win by way of their pitching, a 1-0 victory for the University of Dallas here in San Antonio. That's it from us tonight. We hope you tune in to a doubleheader tomorrow, which should be a doubleheader, questionable given the weather that we're seeing in the forecast. First pitch for that Game 1 set for 2 p.m., Game 2, 5 p.m., assuming things hold. But for everyone here in San Antonio, everybody in the control room working the cameras, and of course my partner Luke Terry, I'm Cole Isaacson saying so long from South Texas. We hope you enjoyed this one. 1-0, Dallas gets the victory.